I'm Ecuadorian.
I'll bring through everything.
Alright, so.
Yeah.
Bring her down.
I'll give you a high
If you have a business, for covering your business, we'll need them in a minute.
I was prepared.
So, we can't actually make you all, really deeply feel hunger like some of these games are supposed to represent. And it's hard to really play out the course of, years of harvest and famine and want over a 30-hour span. But this game can make you feel very, very anxious and afraid of being found very, very quickly.
You didn't even throw in a bit about there might be an actual murder.
I don't like to get worried.
Yeah. So, in this game, everyone managed to feel a high level of anxiety, even though you knew that nothing really bad was actually going to happen to you. What do you think would happen to you? How do you think you would feel if this went on for years?
I think you had to get shut down. You had to wake up every day and not know what's going to happen. That'd be horrible. I guess everyone doesn't know exactly what's going to happen, but I know I'm going to go to school, come home, go to sleep, go back to school.
What's this homework?
I'm going to generalize, but I assume that, in a sense of random violence coming from strangers, most of you do not feel particularly threatened on those days.
One time this guy in Gallagher popped out and scared me and I cried on the side. Yeah, she did. We literally had to stop.
I heard about that. And then
And there are some of us in this game at a whole different level of anxiety. The rest of us can't approach.
Okay.
I know. That's why we were.
But you know, one time I bought this girl back that she wasn't even big.
Our Bible verse to go with this is Jeremiah 29. Now, as some of you who have been here know, Jeremiah 29 is a passage that I really love, but I also sometimes really hate because people use it very poorly. It's not actually the one we're doing for our Bible study, but it's just a tag in the activity. You don't have to, it's good to be. So, 29:11. This has 11 through 13. So I'm going to read, first I'm going to ask, who remembers the context of these verses? We did a lesson on this. Verses 11 through 13.
What is it?
29, 11 through 13.
Oh, what book?
Oh, Jeremiah.
I don't want to jump in if anybody.
We have one more chance. There was a timeline, and we talked about how history and...
Oh wait, was it everything like?
Wait, it's on the wall.
Jesus?
Yeah.
It's on the wall.
Probably still on the wall. What?
Oh, creation.
Yeah.
Was this the Ice Age time? Because I'm pretty sure their job lived in there.
We can eliminate Ice Age. We can eliminate Jesus time. Somewhere between there.
Everything in between.
All right, last call. Anyone who you think they've got?
Everything in between.
What is the historical setting that this happened in? There's a really big event that set up a lot of the Old Testament.
I gotta go for it, I'm sorry.
All right.
No, Mom, no, we're gonna get it.
What?
What?
Go for it.
No.
Bathroom.
Please.
Color table.
Babylonian exile.
Yeah. So,
Oh, I remember now.
there we go. So your rapid fire history lesson. We have creation. We have the patriarchs. Sorry, we have creation and flood. We have patriarchs, starting with Abraham and running all the way down the line to Joseph in Egypt. We leave the Israelites in Egypt. We skip a while. We pick up with a Pharaoh who did not know Joseph. And he tries to enslave them. We get Moses. We get to the desert. They get the law. There's some judges. Then there's some kings. And we know usually Saul, David, Solomon, and then it wanders off. So here's where the king is in. With a monkey. So the stuff in the Old Testament doesn't happen outside of history. Real events interweave and influence both how these books are written and what's in them. and what's reported.
And more.
So, what happened around, get my years straight, around 9.
No.
You haven't got yours on that. So sorry.
Yeah. So there's a country called Assyria, and they are the ancient world's punching bag for a long time. They don't have a great economy, they don't have a great military, they're not particularly conniving politically. Then sometime around like 900 BC, doesn't that sound right?
Sure.
All right, been decided. Sometime around that point, they suddenly developed iron weaponry. And developing iron during the Bronze Age is like, oh my gosh. It's like taking
The atom bomb.
Yeah, it's like taking machine guns to the American Revolution. It's like driving tanks at medieval castles. You're talking about a weapon, an iron weapon would just shear through the bronze weapon. And they just rampage through. They knock off the northern kingdom. So 10 of the 12 tribes are gone, and so is largely the reign of the top part of Israel. Judah in the south survives, but not for very long, because once Assyria falls, it's the Babylonians who rise. And the Babylonians come in and they take Israel about once, and then they come back, and after Israel rebels and assassinates their governor, comes back and just clears house. They tear down the walls, they defile the temple, and they carry away pretty much everyone who's left with valuable skills off to Babylon. So, we get to Jeremiah 29, and it is a really bad place to be. They are about as low as you can possibly get. Their capital city is destroyed. Their holy places are destroyed. Not only have they been defeated as a country, but it looks to them like even God has been defeated. And now they've been dragged away to this foreign land. You have to remember that they're still not really sure if God is everywhere. Like in the ancient world, the idea that a God would be all over the place, they're not really sure on it. A lot of gods are considered to be like territorial. That the god of Babylon is mostly over Babylon. And so if you were to go to China, the god of Babylon is like, not my thing. So what it looks like is not only has the Babylonian army defeated the armies of Judah, but it looks like the Babylonian gods have defeated God. And now they've been carried away to where God can't hear them. So this is real bad. And this is where we usually jump in with Jeremiah 29:11, which I bet most of you could quote, even though you don't realize I'm quoting. For I know the plans I have for you.
Declares the Lord. Plans for God for you, not harm you.
Okay.
How's that?
Hope and a future.
Yeah. We tend to throw this around really loosely. It's like, oh no, I broke my ankle. Don't worry, God has a plan. This is bad. Like, they are in a really, really, really bad place. And so, of course, there are people who are telling them, oh, don't worry about it. God is surely going to come save us any day now. So, do you know what Jeremiah says to that? Yeah, basically. Jeremiah's like, no, that is a lie.
Your hope is gone.
They say, God is coming to save us any day now. And Jeremiah says, no. Jeremiah says, you will languish in exile. Jeremiah says, no. Jeremiah says, yes, God is still in control, but there's a great big but on there. He says, I'm going to read this to you in context. So we normally read 11 through 13. For surely I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. Plans for your welfare and not for harm, to give you a future with hope. Then when you call upon me and come and pray to me, I will hear you. When you search for me, you will find me, if you seek me with all your heart. But that's not the whole story. What really starts is in verse 4, which is, this is a letter to the exiles. It says, thus says the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, to all the exiles, whom I have sent into exile from Jerusalem to Babylon. Now note, God is still in control. The people had fallen away and just generally become really nasty as a whole. The people who have been carried away are the leaders. And it was really the failure of the leaders, the kings, the poets, the artists, the policymakers, all of this sort of top part of culture. They just became good. There's a real thought strand in the Old Testament that says power and idolatry and injustice all go hand in hand. So it's not just that people become idolatrous and turn away from God for other gods. It's not just that people are unjust, but that these all go together. And what you end up with is this culture that's turned away from God, and it simultaneously is crushing the people at the bottom, the people who don't have power, the people who can't speak for themselves. And God warns them, and warns them, and warns them, and then says, all right, you all got to learn the lesson that's coming. So here is where the message continues. Build houses and live in them. Plant gardens and eat what they produce. Take wives and have sons and daughters. Take wives for your sons and give your daughters in marriage, that they may bear sons and daughters. Multiply there and do not decrease. But seek the welfare of the city where I have sent you into exile, and pray to the Lord on its behalf. For in its welfare you will find your welfare. For thus says the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, do not let the prophets and the diviners who are among you deceive you, and do not listen to the dreams that they dream. For it is a lie that they are prophesying to you in my name. I did not send them, says the Lord. And then it says, for thus says the Lord. So what do you all notice about those verses? So yeah, there's something about still be good, still be people who care and who do good things and live good lives, even in this place that I sent you. There's also something sneaky in there. There's a time frame that's given. Y'all see what it is? Sneaky time frame.
Are we in 4 to 9 section?
This is 4 through 9. Y'all probably don't think about it. And it keeps going. God says it will not be soon. It will perhaps not even be this generation or the next. This is really, really harsh. This is something that, as we were going through Holy Week, this is something that really, for me, paired up well with the cross. Because this is not a hope that the boat just magically turns upright. It's not that things are just going to smoothly work out. This is God saying something really awful is going to happen, and it's going to happen in such a way that it does not look like it can be undone. It looks like it's the end, it's over, the end. But it's going to take God doing something amazing that turns all this around. But, as with the Lazarus story, again, just because at the end it's changed and it's overturned, doesn't mean that you don't go through the awfulness. It doesn't change the fact that they were dragged into exile. It doesn't change the fact that they have to live in the shadows of these false Babylonian gods and be mocked and pulled away from their homes. And it doesn't even really say that these people get a happy ending of their own. But it says that God, at the end of things, does have an answer. But it's not as easy as we go around. And now for an entirely different passage. If y'all would flip to Isaiah 58. Yep. And this also will help you kind of see a bit of what. So, we're going to read the whole chapter, but it is a lot of poetry. Only 14 verses. But it's
Yeah.
58.
Those are some long verses.
It'll be alright.
It's like being our second one. I ended up reading whole in fourth grade, 50 chapters, and every chapter was a page and a half.
Right.
Those are for your
So I'm going to read 1 through 5.
I will.
Go for it.
Shout it aloud, do not hold back. Raise your voice like a trumpet. Declare to my people their rebellion, and to the descendants the sins of their sins. For day after day they seek me out. They seem eager to know my ways, as if they were a nation that does what is right and has not forsaken the commandments of God. They ask me for just decisions and seem eager for God to come near them. Why have we fasted, they say, and you have not seen it? Why have we humbled ourselves, and you have not noticed? Yet on the day of your fasting, you do as you please and exploit all your workers. Your fasting ends in quarreling and strife, and in striking each other with wicked bits. You cannot fast as you do today, and expect your voice to be heard on high. Is this the kind of fast I have chosen, only a day for people to humble themselves? Is it only for bowing one's head like a reed, and for lying in sackcloth and ashes? Is this what you call a fast, a day acceptable to the Lord?
Alright. I want to read 6 through 9. Go for it.
Is not this the kind of fasting I have chosen? To loosen the chains of injustice and unite the cords of the yoke? To set the oppressed free and break every yoke? Is it not to share your food with the hungry and provide the poor wandered shelter? When you see the naked, to clothe them, and not to turn away from your own flesh and blood? Then your light will break forth like dawn, and your healing will quickly appear. Then your righteousness will go before you, and the glory of the Lord will be your rear guard. Then you will call, and the Lord will answer you. You will cry for help, and He will say, "Here I am." If you do away with the yoke of oppression, with the pointing finger and malicious talk.
I'm going to read 10 to the end.
Daddy likes to read.
Let's start a new people who volunteer people have to read policy. Other than me, because I'm the last volunteer.
Okay, but I'm more willing to pronounce research.
And if you spend yourselves on behalf of the hungry and satisfy the needs of the oppressed, then your light will rise in the darkness, and your night will become like this noonday. The Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs in the sun-scorched land, and will strengthen your frame. You will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail. Your people will rebuild the ancient ruins, and will raise up the age-old foundations. You will repair a broken walls, restore a street with dwellings. If you keep your feet from breaking the Sabbath, and from doing as you please on my holy day, if you call the Sabbath a delight, and the Lord's holy day honorable, and if you honor it by not going your own way, not doing as you please, or speaking idle words, then you will find your joy in the Lord. And I will cause you to rise on the heights of the land, east of the inheritance of your father Jacob, the mount of the Lord in this book.
So I'm going to read another related passage, and this one is in Amos chapter 5. So really, all of these, most of the Old Testament prophets, ones who are known like by the title of their books usually, a lot of these prophets wrote in the same span of time. So you're mostly talking about a 2 to 3 century span that they're talking about. So it's usually towards the end of the reign of kings, and you pick up the Assyrian invasion, then the Babylonian invasion, and then exile. So really over the whole course of Israelite history, these prophets really focused in on this one span of time. This is Amos, who's writing in a similar time. Chapter 5, starting in verse 18. Alas for you who desire the day of the Lord. Why do you want the day of the Lord? It is darkness, not light. As if someone fled from a lion and was met by a bear, or went into the house and rested a hand against the wall and was bitten by a snake. Is not the day of the Lord darkness, not light, and gloom with no brightness in it? I despise your festivals, and I take no delight in your solemn assemblies. assemblies. Even though you offer me your offerings, grain offerings, I will not accept them. And the offerings of well-being of your fatted animals, I will not look upon. Take away from me the noise of your songs. I will not listen to the melody of your harps, but instead let justice roll down like waters, and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. So, let's try to go on these passages. These are not happy passages at all. This is not like, this makes James sound really like kind and nice. And like, be nice to each other, people. And then Isaiah and Amos come out and it's like, nothing specifically strikes anyone other than Jesus. So, what does this say is more important? Worship or justice and service?
Their worship is hollow. They're just going through motions.
So, just like James, this swings us back in another direction. This is the same thing that Paul is often talking about with works. And the things that they're holding up as works are things that are these really specific kind of religious-y culture markers. For them, it's things like circumcision and keeping the letter of the Sabbath and following these laws of kosher and holiness. What would that look like for us? What would be similar things? I'll talk about some of them earlier. What are Christian markers? A real blood sugar crash.
We like all just died at once. So you straight to the school?
Well, I think, is that a camp shirt?
Yeah, that's what
There we go. So there's a certain Christian-y swag.
Oh no.
And I'm not picking on you because I think you back these things up, but yeah,
I have VBS shirt
yeah,
on.
it's not enough to wear our camp shirts and our VBS shirts and to buy all those T-shirts from that awful mall kiosk. You like read the front and something ridiculous and read the back and you're like, oh, it's Jesus. That's the hand gesture. Yeah, so it can be a clothing related. What else can it be? That's really basic one.
Wait, what?
Hand
They
clothes.
mentioned earlier about making sure you were at church every Sunday, but
Hand clothes.
Yeah, I mean, there's the physical stuff. Also, being in worship, don't get me wrong, being in worship is important. There's a lot of important things that come out of that. But if you try and rest on that alone, that's not enough. And that's the kind of thing we're talking about. What's another thing?
Well, like words.
Yeah.
Like words that Christians use that other people don't use. Like, yes.
I was trying to find if you were thinking really hard, or if your brain was slowly shutting off sections.
Yeah. But don't worry, I told my question and answer in section on.
Awesome.
Saving that one for last.
I'm just watching one by one. People are starting to.
Yeah.
I think Helen's almost.
I'm here though, I really am.
Helen's almost done.
I feel like overall, the world has moved a little bit away from the 90s, 2000s, really strong, super, like, separate Christian culture movements. There was a while where it was all about, like, I used to know a website where you could type in a band you like, a secular band, and it would tell you the Christian band that sounded like them and was like approved. Oh, this was like a big deal. And 20 years ago, instead of 30-hour Famine, we'd be having a youth revival, and I'd tell you how to bring all your secular CDs, and we'd break them and burn them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would hide them all.
Yeah.
He did that.
My youth council's got on the agenda. We haven't found a place for it yet.
It's got to be summer.
Yeah. But if you see bonfire, be suspicious. You will burn the Harry Potter. But yeah, there's these really like superficial markers that we can carry around that say, hey, I'm a Christian. And they are, you know, in some ways, some of them have good things attached to them. And some of them have importance. But again, they can't be the only thing. You can't just come to church. Sorry. I'd like you to come to church. I like singing all at church. I think church is important for you. But it's important for you because it sends you back out to live in the world. So, I had more thoughts. How do you all feel when you hear the word judgment? That is a place where you are frequently judged.
Think of the Terminator.
So in a church Christian theological kind of setting, what do you all think about judgment? What does it give you a certain feeling?
So you like the judgment day?
Yeah.
What's that thing called when you don't go to heaven or hell, but like you're being
Purgatory?
Purgatory,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
I think it, sorry.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think it's this scarier picture of God than we usually start to think. Like, I know they don't really contradict if you really look at it, but like, it seems like it. Like, when I think judgment, I think God, like literally like a judge. Like, not with a rope, but you know. So, but then like, when you think about like Jesus, it's more like warm hugs.
Judgment is hanging over the fiery pit.
You know, I like warm hugs much more. You know, spreading ropes, Mom.
Were you the one who did that sermon?
Yeah, I actually.
That was a great story about that sermon.
So there's a famous sermon by Jonathan Edwards called "Sinners in the Hand of an Angry God," and this whole sermon is essentially about like you are a spider hanging over the flames of hell by a single thread, and this is just supposed to be it's supposed to be a scary sermon. It's like
Hellfire and brimstone.
Hellfire and brimstone, like terrible. But and so it's not a very long sermon, and I was actually assigned to read it in front of the entire class, like to sort of like enact it. But I actually read it in such a way that people found it really assuring. I was like, and people actually came up to me afterwards and were like, we know we're supposed to be uncomfortable right now, but we're actually feeling pretty good. And so apparently this is what I sounded like when I read it. It was like, you're like a spider hanging over the flames of hell. And apparently that just wasn't like scary enough to get the like judgment thing across. So, yeah, no, I was a little too. There's a little too much like high voice falsetto thing going on there.
Sometimes you have to read it sometimes you should read it like that for us.
Because Evan will have to do a rendition of the John Williams song before he leaves. On the cam, we have a copy of it.
Good.
So and we can say the thing that probably a lot of people are thinking. When you hear judgment and you talk about God's judgment, even though I say it in a funny way, it makes us uncomfortable. And it's not just it's not the kind of discomfort that it used to be in a Jonathan Edwards, I'm really afraid of hellfire and damnation kind of thing. I think for a lot of us, there's this discomfort of like maybe hearing an older family member say something really inappropriate, kind of awkward. And I feel like that's sometimes.
You mean like when your grandma tries to embarrass you?
Well, more like when a grandparent says something that might be like offensive or out of touch in a way that is not good.
You mean
My
my
grandmother has
principal?
lost her filter. My grandparents were from Eastern North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's moments when you sit there and think, she just said that. I can't believe she just said that. Did anybody hear that?
I would give you more examples, but yeah, the things that my grandmother on one side of my family said. Yeah. But unfortunately, this is kind of what we bring to God's judgment sometimes. That's what we bring. Thank you, Chelsea. But
Oh my God. I thought it was Sarah, and then I realized her mouth wasn't moving.
so here's the place I turn this around. Those passages really should make us uncomfortable. I was in my Isaiah class, and we were talking about passages like these. There's a whole section of like 10 chapters that are just judgments against the nation. And Isaiah just goes on and on about, God's judgment that is falling upon these nations. And what you might not know is that Duke Community School has a relationship with several different regions in Africa where they do both sort of relief and mission type work, but also they have seminaries that they partner with, and our professors actually go and teach there a lot of times during the summer. And what my professor pointed out, having worked with some of these groups, is that we don't really understand how judgment could be a positive thing. Well, part of that is because we have never been in a position where we needed judgment on our behalf. Most of us have generally been on the beneficial side of a weighted scale.
Still talking about church, I'm thinking school so much right now.
Well, the things that we're worrying about oftentimes they're things that are important to us, and they're things that are important in our lives, but not in the same way that, do I have food? Do I have shelter? Do I have safety? Those are baselines for us. Those are oftentimes the place that we're building from. And there are good things that you build out of that, but we also take that for granted. And there's huge chunks of the world that, through no fault of their own, people are in really, really awful situations. And so when they read judgment, they read God's rescue. We only take this very negative sense of, that God is going to, but it's also because we are generally not people who have needed a fundamental level rescue. I'm watching the chorus of Winking Eyes. So,
I think we just
speaking of judgment, I want to leave with three things. I'll start with three, we'll add to that. So, one, do you all know how a lot of these countries are in the situations they're in?
What do you mean?
So, how is it that we have nations that are very, very technologically and economically just doing great?
Maybe like government.
So we have geography, we have government.
So like I sort of like we sort of did learn this, but like in like Africa and like those kind of like third world or emerging nations, they like used to be colonies of like the bigger empires, but then everyone was like, I don't want to deal with you guys, so they left and didn't leave anything for them to like build off of.
Yeah. So geography is important, and governments are important, but there's almost a one-for-one of countries that are poor and unstable today that were colonies of a world that is not unstable, or of a country that is not unstable today. Almost every country in Africa was portioned off to a European power.
India's Pakistan is still fight because partition. They just said, well, oh, y'all go live over here, and y'all go live over there, and deal with it.
I mean, and one way to look at this today is to get an idea of what country you're tracing back to is to look at what languages are spoken. Across most of South America, you have Spanish, not because Spanish is indigenous, but because Spain was a major colonizing power in Central and South America.
Yes, but that's because the Pope drew a line down the middle of South America, which means get this part. I just learned about that line.
So the big thing to remember is that in a lot of ways we're here and they are there because of a history between our two countries. And it's not something that I feel like you should carry individual guilt around for, but it is something to remember that even if you individually were not someone who made some of these very disastrous decisions in the past, in some ways we're still benefiting from those. And I say this because it leads to the second point, which is, as the video said, there is twice as much food in the world as it would take to feed you. And there are still 1 in 8 people who are starving. Yeah, I can't remember what number 3 was. What's that?
Because you're so sleepy.
I think it's
Is that what it said?
first two.
Colby, you're so sleepy.
Oh my
No, I think I'm too sleepy to control.
What?
So now that I've made you all very sleepy, we're going to take our final break for the evening before we go into our lights out time. It is now, my phone is too dark to read. It is now 11:45, so we're running a little bit later than I was hoping. So, at 12:30, we're going to turn the lights out. So, if you haven't done fan cam yet, we can probably get 2 groups through before lights out. It'd be a good time to do some journaling.